What's up, guys? I hope everybody's having a fantastic day, whether you're watching this in the morning, in the afternoon, or in the evening. I'm glad you're here. And if you're so inclined and have the time, please hit the subscribe button down below if you hadn't already. If you also hit the bell notification icon, it'll not only notify you when I release new videos, but it'll also help my videos be seen by more people. And today I wanted to jump right into kind of a long-term review of the Spyderco Manix 2. The Spyderco Manix 2 has gone through a couple of modifications since I've owned it, and it's turned into one of my, I would say, top EDC knives for Spyderco and for just basic EDC knives in general. So let's get into it. The Spyderco Manix 2, this was an actual KnifeCenter exclusive if I'm not mistaken. It was black G10, really nice black G10, and it had the CPM-CruWear blade, and it was priced very reasonably with the other Manix 2s, so I picked it up. Not really knowing that much about the Manix 2, except it was a very popular knife and it kind of fit the void in between several of the Spydercos that I had in my collection. Well, it didn't take long for me, being an EDC kind of urban guy, to realize that the jimping on the Manix 2 is there for a reason, to give you that positive grip. But for me, it was just a little bit harsh. So I wasn't carrying the knife as much as I really wanted to. The knife sliced great, the action was great, the blade geometry, the fidgetability, everything about the knife was great. It just wasn't really jimping with my hands, no pun intended, because it was so jimpy. So I started looking for scales, because one of the things I like to do with my Spydercos is modify them. They're pretty easy to modify. They're different kits by different reputable vendors that work with a lot of Spydercos, and knock on wood, I've never had a problem with the Spyderco mod. So I discovered Rock Scale Designs, which is this particular company here, and they make scales for many different knives, but they make a line of scales for the Spyderco Manix 2. And the scales that they make for the Manix 2, they make a couple of different kinds. This particular set is the graphite titanium, which I liked because it was closer to the blade steel. The dragon scale pattern, which I found unique and just grippy enough with enough relief to make the knife feel very comfortable. But most importantly, these scales were designed so that the liners could be left out. So these are linerless scales. So the Manix 2, I was able to put both of those scales or those liners in my Manix 2 box in case the next owner, should I ever sell it, want them. But for me, they're forever out of my life. And now the Spyderco Manix 2 is, I would say, one of my top EDC knives. It is just an absolute winner. It has great weight to it. It has great jimping still where the finger choil is, as well as where your thumb goes. So you've got a regular grip here, and then you've got a nice choked up grip here. You can utilize this blade because of the way it points down for detail cuts, utility cuts, pull cuts, push cuts. Really cuts it just about any way you'd want it to. Break out my coupon book here. This kind of bent up, so it might not cut as smoothly as it normally does. But the Manix 2, again with the blade geometry, with the CRU-WEAR, and with the edge that I help it with, is a very slicey knife. So, do I recommend the Manix 2? There's a lot of caveats there. The Manix 2, the way that it came to me, had I not modded it, I probably would have sold it. Again, it was just a little aggressive. Some people, good friend Grateful Panic has a Manix 2 right over there with brass scales, and he loves the jimping. He thinks the jimping gives him extra traction, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just everybody's different about what they like to carry and what feels good in their hands. And the Manix 2, with specifically the Rock Scale Designs linerless scales, were just a mad win for me. And this knife, again, is in the CPM-CruWear. It is made in Golden, Colorado, USA Earth. And let's do a couple of quick size comparisons and see how it rocks in with some of our other offerings. Look at it next to our Cold Steel 4 Max. And it's going to come in smaller than the Cold Steel 4 Max. And let's look at it next to our Civivi Baby Banter. and it is going to come in a good bit bigger than our baby Banter, but closer than the Cold Steel 4MAX. I might have to break out some different knives because let's see how it is going to compare to our Benchmade bug out. It's going to be larger than our Benchmade bug out. And curiously, let's see how it's going to compare to our Paramilitary 2. And guys, it is just a little bit longer than the Paramilitary 2. Probably about a ½ inch. So hopefully that gives you a good idea of where the Spyderco Manix 2 falls into the Spyderco line. I think the blade is a little bit more leaf shaped, not as aggressive as a Para 2. It is going to be about the same blade shape, but it's going to be taller, and it's going to have a little bit shorter handle, where the Paramilitary 2 does have a very long handle. But I don't like the Para 3, so that's another story. But the Manix 2, what can I say about it? Final thoughts. It's a fantastic knife. When I first got it in the black G10, I really liked it. I liked the way that the black G10 was taken care of. I liked the way that it had texture and grip. It was probably some of the nicest G10 that I'd seen. It felt really good. Again, the very sharp jimpy scales were just one of those things that I did not altogether like, and that was just subjective. Maybe my pansy hand, maybe that I'm just not used to harder edges on my knives. But when I put the Rock Scale Design scales on, which were right around $120 when I got them, really a great investment. I also got a hardware swap out. The black hardware came with it, but I ordered the titanium ball cage. And just, yeah, really like this knife, guys. When it comes to Spydercos, and I think I've done a USA made Spyderco overview, but when I look at all my Spydercos, my Shaman, my PM2s that I really love, my little Sage, that's a great knife. When I look at, I'm just trying to think of American made ones here, my Yojimbo, and the Manix 2, if I had to choose one of them, I'm not so sure that the Manix 2 would not fit that everyday bill, because it's hard enough to be put through the paces. If I was in a survival situation, I needed to start a fire, I needed to really clear some stuff out, I needed to process some kindling, get the fire ready, I could do this. If I needed to do food prep, if I needed to cut cardboard, if I needed to cut paper, if I needed to cut just about anything. I mean, the Manix 2 is that good of a knife. I think what kept it out of my overall sphere of impressionability for so long was it looked like a lot of other Spydercos, and every time I picked it up, the jimping just did not suit my hand. There are other knives like that. I wish I could think of some right off the top of my head. And there's some in my collection that are just a little bit more aggressive in that jimping that I really care for. One of them that I traded for Justin OCD for EDC was my Seal, my SOG Seal XR, which was a big folder S35VN, but it just had some really great jimping if you wore gloves, which I don't find myself wearing a lot of gloves and hard using knives that way. But anyway, he got a knife that he really liked. I picked up another Spyderco Paramilitary 2 in a Warncliffe, one that I hadn't been able to get, and one that Brother Justin had and was willing to trade with a little extra cash on my part that I was more than happy to oblige. Thank you, Justin, and thank you, Molly, for making it happen. And guys, really what else can I say about this Manix 2 except it is a fantastic knife. Another mod, I got the MXG, not the Lynch, but on this one the MXG color seemed to match better, and I do like the Lynch clips, but I like the MXGs for Spydercos just as much. Before I part with you guys tonight, which I just gave away the time, it's actually the morning. It's about 4 o'clock in the morning because we just sprung forward. I don't know when this video is going to come out, but you guys will get to see it hopefully. Please, in the interim, look out for the gal or guy to your left, look out for the gal or guy to your right, look out for each other. Move forward with love in your heart. Choose debate over hate. When you have to hate, hate with vigor. Guys, I love you all. Till we meet again, peace.